Welcome to our weekly ABBA magazine show. We've seen quite a few dramatic finishes in the 12th round. The game between Igokea and Cedevita went to overtime. The same happened in the derby game between Krka and Olimpia. Also decided in the end was the derby between Partizan and Budućnost, and Cibona had no trouble with Široki, again mostly because of Dario Šarić, whom we have visited in Zagreb. Of course, at the end of the show, we'll show you the best 5 actions of the round. We start with the news. Solnok is already the 5th team this season to replace a coach. Nedeljko Aščerić is no longer there. He took over last year when the Hungarian champion was last in the standings and then took them to 12th. This year he managed to beat the defending champion and also progressed to the next round of FIBA's Euro Challenge, but apparently that was not enough for the owners. He is replaced by his assistant, Dragan Aleksić. After Radnički has parted ways with Muftau Jaru, the team from Kragujevac reinforced its ranks with a 31-year-old Marko Brkić. He played for the champion of Bosnia and Herzegovina last year, Igokea, reaching 5.7 points and 2.2 rebounds per game. There's a new player at Igokea as well. The American center Gary McGee has left after not impressing. He's replaced by a 33-year-old Lance Williams, who spent the last 5 years playing in Turkey. He averaged 6.5 points and 3 rebounds for Banvit in the Turkish league. And last, Andrija Žižić has left Cibona after the club had not kept its part of the agreement and had not paid the player till Wednesday. The 33-year-old veteran had a good season thus far, as he was Cibona's second-best scorer as well as the second-best rebounder. So Igokea had a new player in its ranks, albeit with a few extra pounds on Lance Williams at present, and it played host to the team it had never beaten before, Cedevita. Teams were very close from the beginning and very early on, and first three-pointer from Branko Jorović, a first of many as it turned out, this one setting the score of 5-4. And then another one to make it 12-8, but that was followed by an 8-0 run from the visitors, who then took the lead by 16-12 after Miro Bilan scored. It was 18-15 to Cedevita after Bilan scored again, but then it was the home team to put together a nice run of 10-0, rounded up by Siniša Steinberger, to put Igokea in the 25-18 lead. But Cedevita was hitting three-pointers as well. Alan Ray hitting for 3 the third time in 3 attempts to reach 11 points by the end of the first quarter, which Cedevita won with 29-27. But Lance Williams was having a very good debut, 18 points and 7 rebounds in him for the end. He scored the first 4 of the second quarter, and Igokea was again in front. 10-2 then for Cedevita after Marino Baždarić was another one to score for 3. But this was a game of many turnarounds, and it was now Igokea's turn to score the next 10 points, all of which contributed by Branko Jorović, who had by now amassed incredible 23 points with 5 shots for 3 and none missed. Still, Cedevita was able to win the first half, as Marino Baždarić said the result with 46-43 after his second three-pointer. Bilan then to make it 50-46 for Cedevita, then the next 4 points were scored by Luka Babić, and Cedevita was for the first time in a game leading for 10 points. That was in the middle of the third quarter. But Lance Williams was then able to score the next 6 points to close the gap to just 4, and the third period ended with Igokea trailing by 5 after Teddy Gibson scored 2 out of his 18 altogether. In the last quarter, Igokea immediately came within 2 points, but Baždarić was able to reply. He was having a game of the season with 16 points. 3.5 minutes before the end, Uroš Nikolić scored his first points of the game and equaled the score to 74. 90 seconds before time, Cedevita was again leading by 2 when Miro Bilan was successful. 25 seconds later, it seemed Cedevita had done enough to win this after Zubcic made it 80-76 from the free throw line. But just 20 seconds before time, Sinisa Steinberger scored for 3 to again equal the score. The visitors then had the chance to have the ball almost till the end of the game, but Alan Ray missed his shot with only a couple of seconds to go, which meant Igokea could make some crazy shot to take the game, but Nemanja Gordic missed from a difficult position in the last second and the game went to overtime. And therein had all stopped for the guests, as Teddy Gibson was able to score twice in a row, and very quickly the home team took the lead by 6 points. Then a mistake in Cedevita's defense allowed Williams to score under the basket and put Igokea 10 points in front just 2 minutes before the game. After more than 4 minutes in the overtime, Cedevita finally scored through Nolan Smith. It was -6, half a minute before the end when Babic scored, but the guests couldn't get any closer as the same player then missed for 3. The end result, 96-89 for the home team, which by that caught Cedevita on the table. Both teams now with 8 wins apiece. The Leon Stuckel Hall was packed with the visit of Olimpia, and as Sani Becirovic played his first game for Krka after 10 years. In the last years, Olimpia was the more successful team in the Slovenian derby. Edo Muric opened the scoring with a 3, and for Olimpia it was Davidas Gailius. Krka was already leading by 14-6 when Muric scored twice in a row. It was 16-10 when Alen Omic scored, but that was followed by a 6-1 partial from the home team, rounded up by Muric with his 3rd three-pointer, thus reaching 15 points in the first period already, which ended with Krka 10 points in front for the first time. And then a turnaround in the second period. Krka simply wasn't able to score, which allowed Olimpia to score the first 12 points of the period and take the lead through Jako Vladovic. It was only after almost 6 minutes Krka was able to score through Zvonko Buljan from the free throw line. With a 19-1 partial, the visitors went into the highest lead of the game, +7 after Stevenson's free throws. Then the first points from Sani Becirovic, 7 for him altogether. That was the only basket from open play for Krka in the second period, in which the home team only managed 5 points and Olimpia 21. 32-27 for the visitors after the first half, in which Olimpia missed all 7 shots for free, but Krka with 8 turnovers. Saso Salin opened the third quarter brilliantly, scoring 11 of Olympia's 12 points, and the guests were for the first time in a game leading by 10. It was a wake-up call for the home team, as it replied with 7 consecutive points, and when Jaka Klobuchar scored, Krka was only 4 points behind. The quarter ended with 48-40 for the visitors. Alex Stevenson was the first one to score in the last period, and Olimpia was again leading by 10. Then Muric hit a 3 to get his team slightly nearer, but then followed a period in which no team was able to score. It was only 4.5 minutes before the end when Alex Stevenson put Olimpia 9 points in front. But that was followed by a series of mistakes from the visitors, which allowed Hukic to score 5 in a row, and then Klobuchar raised his game and scored 7 out of 9 Krka's points and take his team into the lead of 57-54, just 23 seconds before the end. Olimpia needed a 3 to stay in the game, and it came from a former Krka player nonetheless, Jako Vladovic. Muric had a chance to win the game for Krka, but he missed, and the game went to overtime. In it, the first lead went to Krka as Hukic and Becirovic scored the first 4 points. 40 seconds before the end, Muric put Krka again 4 points in front. He was playing his best game of the season with 22 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists and 4 steals. 30 seconds before time, Olimpia scored its first basket from open play via Alex Stevenson, who also had a good game, reaching 13 points, 11 rebounds and as many as 6 blocks in the end. The deciding points came from Jaka Klobuchar just 8 seconds before the end, and Krka was able to win this prestigious duel and leave Olimpia already in the bottom with only 3 wins this season after this game. "5,300 people turned up in Skopje to see MZT host Crvena Zvezda, a team which had beaten MZT in 5 previous meetings and was of course favourite in this one as well. It was the visitors who opened the scoring through Branko Lazic's only points of the game, and that was followed by 6 consecutive points from Todor Gečovski, a veteran for Skopje. The lead went back to Crvena Zvezda hands when Blake Shields scored his only basket of the game, and that grew slightly when DeMarcus Nelson finished nicely. Still, it was MZT who was able to win the first period by 18-17. First thing in the second period was that MZT scored the first 7 points to make it 25-19, 5 of which contributed by Kay Davis, playing his best game of the season. Raško Katic was again playing well against MZT, as he did last year. In the second period he made sure MZT wasn't far in front. In the end he managed to reach 12 points, but Todor Gečovski made sure MZT was in front by 8 come the end of the first half. Crvena Zvezda opened the second half well, scoring the first 7 points, and it was only behind by a point when Jaka Blažić cruised coast to coast. The home team was again 6 points in front when Davis scored, but then Zvezda scored the next 6 to equal the score to 41, courtesy of DeMarcus Nelson. The lead of 3 points after 30 minutes of play was secured by Ivan Marinkovic, who had a good debut with 10 points in the end. When Marko Simonovic scored his second 3-pointer, Zvezda again equaled the score and then even went ahead when Charles Jenkins hit his first 3-pointer. Then a 6-0 run for the home team, rounded up by Georgi Gečovski, and MZT was leading by 55-52. A minute and a half before time, Jenkins equaled the score to 58, thus announcing a dramatic finish to the game, but Crvena Zvezda was not to score again. With his first point from open play, Stefan Sinovic secured a 2-point lead for MZT. That was followed by a missed shot for 3 from Marko Simonovic, and then Kay Davis scored both free throws, and 30 seconds before the end, the home team was leading by 4 points. Then Nikola Otašević stole the ball from Charles Jenkins, passed nicely to Stefan Sinovic, who then dunked for what turned out to be victory for the team from Skopje. It was 65-58 in the end, with MZT scoring the last 7 points in the game to win for the first time under the guidance of its new coach Zoran Martic. Zvezda with its first defeat after 5 straight victories, managing 20 points less than its average in the league. Exactly 13 years after the tragic murder of Haris Brkic, 2 of his former clubs crossed swords in the Pioneer Hall in front of 5,500 people. Budućnost was playing without its MVP Aleksandar Čapin, whose back injury seems to be worse than initially thought. Partizan was also handicapped, as its best player Bogdan Bogdanovic was forced to play under painkillers. Partizan took the lead through Terence Kinsey, and it was 6-0 by the time Geoffrey Lauvergne dunked. For Budućnost, it was Suat Šehović who scored first. And Partizan was leading by 11-8 when Terence Kinsey scored twice in a row, and then the visitors equaled the score for the first time in the game through William Coleman. Still, it was Partizan who was in front by 4 after the first 10 minutes when Dejan Musli was successful under the basket. Budućnost opened the second period well, taking the lead for the first time when Coleman scored 5 in a row. Then the teams were equal to 26 when Suat Čehović scored his first three-pointer. And then it was Lovern's turn to score 4 in a row, and the home team was leading by 31-30. The score was equalled again when Vladimir Mihailovic scored his first three-pointer, but the home team was in front by 2 points at the end of the half, when Dejan Musli again scored at the end of the period. In the third period, the guests were in front with 43-41 when Suat Čehović scored. He was the best scorer of the game in Budućnost's ranks with 15 points. After a good offensive rebound, Mihailovic put the visitors 4 points in front, but that was followed by a 6-0 run from Partizan, with Musli putting the hosts 2 points in front. The home team needed 8 attempts to finally score for 3. It came in the 29th minute via Dragan Milosavljević, but then Budućnost scored the last 5 points of the period, which ended with Budućnost in front by a single point. Partizan was leading 59-55 when Milosavljević scored his second three-pointer, and Budućnost was forced to take a timeout. The visitors needed more than 2 minutes to score in the last period when Jalil Akindele dunked to make it 59-57. The visitors were trailing by just a point when Aleksa Popovic scored his first three, but that was soon followed by the biggest Partizan lead of the game when Terence Kinsey made it 67-60. He was eventually the game's best scorer with 16 points. "80 seconds before time, Čedomir Vitkovac missed a sitter, and on the other side a nice pass by Bogdanovic to Lovernje, who dunked and put Partizan in a 70-65 lead exactly a minute before time, and it turned out to be the winning basket. In the end, 72-65, the result was set by Dejan Musli. A 9th win of the season for the defending champion. Budućnost remains at 7 so far. So, Igokea was able to beat Cedevita for the first time in history. No problems for Cibona with Široki. Krka won the Slovenian derby in overtime. An important win for Zadar over Radnički, and congratulations to Zoran Martić for his first win with his new club, as MZT was able to beat arguably the strongest team of the league. Crvena Zvezda is still top of the pile, with Partizan with the same amount of points. A win less for Cibona, Cedevita and now Igokea. The middle of the table is still very much congested, while Olimpija and Široki remain at the foot of the table. The MVP of the 12th round is Krka's Edo Murić, who managed to reach a plain innings of 32. He got there by reaching 22 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists and 4 steals in the Slovenian derby against Olimpija. Willie Warren is still the best-rated player of the league. But it's close for Dario Šarić, and we paid him a visit in Zagreb. He's a young basketball player in Cibona, but the sporting world knows his name for quite some time now. But it was the genetics which actually steered the young man away from water polo or football. My dad used to play for Šibenka in the glory days, and for me it was kind of logical to take on basketball. At least it allowed my mother to have a coffee in peace. They say I never kicked the ball back, but was always returning it with my hands. I would say it was the genes who took over. It's not a secret that Dražen Petrović was Dario's only role model. He worships him that much that the only club he was prepared to leave Šibenika for was Cibona, which is of course the way Dražen took as well. But how can a young player who had never seen Dražen play take him to his heart so dearly? My father played with him in Šibenika. He told me many stories about him and he sort of came into my blood. And of course, he was from Šibenik. Dario is faced with pressure since he was a teenager. All of Europe spoke about him when he was only 14 years old. Well, of course it brings pressure, also for the future. I think it was good for me to learn how to deal with pressure at a very young age. Most of the players don't get there till the senior ranks. I thought it was easier if you encounter this much earlier in your career. He used to take autographs from famous players in the past, but now he's a celebrity himself in Šibenik as well in Zagreb. Yes, it's nice, as I was doing the same when I was a child. I'm glad I was able to reach this level. It's also a big responsibility to the kids for me to show myself in the right light on and off the court. We asked Dario where he sees himself in 5 years' time, but he was very shy about this answer. Well, it's very hard to say, but I have dreams just like the other players. We dream about the NBA, and of course it is my wish to one day play there. But my primary focus for now is the love for the game, be it in the NBA or the EuroLeague. That's all I think about at present. The experts believe it is only a matter of time before Dario goes on the other side of the Atlantic. Yes, it's true, there's a lot of talk about my going to the NBA, but I don't pay much attention to that. Currently I play for Cibona, and I want to play as well as I possibly can here. I train hard to one day reach for my dreams. We know professional players have very little spare time, and Dario uses his just like the normal people. We only have limited spare time as we're playing in 2 competitions. But of course, there is a life outside basketball. We all need a break from the sport. You need to relax and do something else, but there's very little time to do that. I like to go to the movies or have a drink with my friends, but generally I think about basketball almost all day, every day. For instance, I can hardly forget when I play badly. I can't just ignore it. I go through it very emotionally. Maybe that's a mistake, but that's the way it is. It may just pay off for Dario Šarić, this every minute of thinking about basketball. He might have started the same way as his role model, but it appears he's willing to go in the same path as well as to the same length, further still. And now we only have 5, the best actions of the 12th round. At number 5 we have this dunk from Geoffrey Lauvergne after the nice pass from Dragan Milosavljević. At number 4 we have an assist from Marino Baždarić and a dunk from Miro Bilan from Cedevita. Again, it is Geoffrey Lauvergne who turns out in our actions poll, this time at number 3. Second place, it was the action of Budućnost, finished nicely with a dunk by Jalil Akindele. And the number 1 for this week is this action from DeMarcus Nelson. A very nice dunk from him. find our photo contest, Support Your Team we call it, in the official ABBA League Facebook page. Upload your fan photo and share it with your friends, who can then vote for it by liking it. The most original photos will receive nice prizes from Adidas and the ABBA League. So Solnok against Krka is our first game of the 13th round on Saturday, followed by a match between Radnički and MZT. On Sunday there's a derby when Cedevita plays host to Partizan, and then another one on Monday when Crvena Zvezda will host Cibona. And that's all for today. Until the next week, it's bye-bye for now.